Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Noelle. I am a self-taught photographer and content creator, and I'm going to be starting my YouTube channel back up. I've done a couple videos about some behind the scenes content days, and you guys seem to enjoy them. So I'm starting out this reboot kickoff with a Q&A from questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. Also, I talk with my hands a lot, so get used to it. So a little bit about me. I am 23 years old. I moved to Denver, Colorado 6 months ago with my best friend after college, and I am working as a full-time content creator and marketing specialist. I own a digital marketing company called Social Right, and we focus on content creation, user-generated content, influencer marketing, and specifically Instagram and TikTok. About 2 months ago now, I hired an intern, so there's 2 of us on our team. It has been super exciting. She's been so helpful, and I've absolutely loved having her on my team. So yeah, I'm gonna get to your questions now. The first one being, did you go to college? Yes, I did go to college. I went to the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. I majored in strategic communications with an emphasis in advertising. So that's kind of where my career has stemmed from. I started working in social media marketing while I was still in college. I was an intern. I did a full year at a company as a digital marketing specialist after college, and then when I moved to Denver, I decided to start Social Right and start working on my own. So yes, I did go to college. I was asked what I used to make my collages for Like to Know It. So if you don't know, Like to Know It is an affiliate marketing program, and I share a lot of my outfit links and different things that I use in my photos on Like to Know It. You can follow me on there if you're interested in that. And it says, what do you use for your collages for Like to Know It? I use Canva. All of my graphics I use Canva for. I have Canva Pro, which allows you to remove the background super easily on your products. So if you were looking to do Like to Know It, I would highly recommend that. Whoopsies. Someone asked me what I like to do, my favorite thing to do in my spare time. And I'm very transparent about what I do on Instagram. What you see on Instagram is what I do in my day-to-day life and what I really enjoy doing. I love hanging out with friends, and I am so thankful that I have really good friends that are actually also really interested in what I'm doing. So a lot of the times in my free time, I will go take pictures, creating content. When you're working for yourself, there's not really a direct cutoff between your work and your just day-to-day life. So I really enjoy going to take pictures. I live in Colorado, so I like going up into the mountains and exploring new places. I've only been here for 6 months, so there's still so much to see. I really enjoy spending time with my friends, my family. We go hiking. I love to travel. Another question I got was, what's the #1 country on my bucket list? So my best friend and I did 14 different countries in Europe in 2019, and we are planning on doing some traveling around Australia when the borders open back up and everything. So I would say that Australia is probably my #1 bucket list country at the moment. And we are hoping to spend like a significant amount of time there. So that would be my answer. Someone said, I want to get into photography, but I need help picking a camera. So what I recommend for cameras is, I can only recommend the ones that I've tried out because that's all I know. So my first camera that I ever bought was a Canon M50, great mirrorless camera. It's super affordable. It's a good starter camera. It's very user-friendly, and it's around the $600 price range with the kit lens. The most recent camera that I have bought is the Canon ESOR. It is definitely on the spendier side. It was $2,200. But it was time for me to upgrade since I do this for a career now, and I have absolutely loved it. But the Canon M50 is a fantastic camera. I'm using it right now to film this video, and it takes excellent videos as well. Do you regret moving to a new state? Absolutely, 150%. No, I do not regret it. I have made some amazing friends here. I have all of my friends from home still. I can go back and visit whenever I want. So for those that don't know, I moved from Minnesota to Colorado about 6 months ago. My best friend and I moved together. We didn't know anyone else here, but we have created so many good friends here, and it's been such a fantastic experience just getting to know a new city and kind of getting out of your comfort zone and trying something new. I would highly recommend it to anybody who's even thinking about it. So no, I do not regret moving to a new state at all. It's been an amazing experience. Definitely something that's going to be out of your comfort zone, so you just gotta kind of stick with it. It's always going to be hard to adjust to things, but once you are adjusted, it's always easier, and it's a great experience. I would highly recommend it to anybody. The next question I got was, what are your most used apps to edit your photos? So the only app that I use to edit the colors of my photos would be Lightroom. I am actually coming out with a Lightroom Basics 101 ebook sometime this week when this video goes up, so be on the lookout for that. It's going to explain everything about Lightroom. I'm really excited because it took me so long to figure out Lightroom. I had to go from YouTube video to article to just finding random information everywhere, so I compiled it into one book for everyone. So it's so much easier to use and learn Lightroom for you guys. So I use Lightroom a lot. Another app that I use, I'm not really good at Photoshop. So if I want like objects out of my pictures or clean up dirty walls and stuff, I use an app called Touch Retouch. Super simple app to use, highly recommend. But other than that, I used Kindstar for my videos, to create my videos, and those are kind of the only apps that I use on a regular basis. Sometimes there's another app called Snapseed. Sorry, I'm like looking at the apps. If you ever take a picture and it doesn't fit on the Instagram crop, you can use Snapseed to expand the sides of it, and it will figure picture into the Instagram crop better. So that's another app that I use, but I would mostly say I stick with Lightroom. Okay, another question that I get a lot would be, what is it like dating in Denver? Everybody knows Denver is also called Menver because there are more men here than there are women, but it's also the biggest place for Peter Pan syndrome. So people are moving out here to be in the mountains. There's a big drinking culture here. It's not really the place you like move to settle down and like start a family or get into like a serious relationship. But I will say, if you want to date, there are plenty of people here that also want to date. If you don't want to do that, there's a lot of people that don't want to do that as well. So I wouldn't say like you can't categorize the whole city as just like a horrible place to date, because there are people here that are looking to do that. So it's been interesting. I moved here about 6 months ago, and I was focused on my business, making friends, and being in a new city, and that was my main focus. And I'm so glad that I took like that 6 months to really make friends here and kind of make a life here. And it's only been recently that I've kind of gotten back into dating or going on dates and seeing people. So I don't have the most experience with it, but I will say, like, for what I do have, it's been good. There are people here that want to date. So people who are like, just Denver as a whole, you can't date. That's just not true. But there are a lot of people that don't. So it's kind of a it's a wash. Like, people will do it and people won't. And it's just, every time I scroll on TikTok, I always see people like, oh, I live in Denver, so I can't have a boyfriend. And it's like, that's just not true. But you put your intentions out there, and there are people that want to do both here. There for sure are. It's a great city. Pretty much everyone who's in Denver is not from Colorado. And so it's a really easy place to make friends, and everyone's super welcoming and friendly and just like wants to get out and do stuff. So that's another great reason to move to Denver, because everyone is so friendly here. It's so easy to make friends here, and that's something that I've loved about the city. Dating culture, it is what you make of it. Making friends here is so easy. I mean, it's when you put yourself out there, it's easier. It's easier probably than most cities. But I've absolutely loved it. So yeah, that's my long story short about dating in Denver. So a couple of people asked me what my favorite photo I've ever taken was, or what are my favorite like themed shoots. And I really like shooting at home. So I think it's way easier because I can set my tripod up. Nobody's here watching me. I can get as creative as I want, to use as many props as I want without being in public and people staring. Obviously, I've kind of gotten over that whole thing with I get people are going to stare, people are going to watch, especially when you're out shooting alone on your tripod. I don't do that very often. So being at home and being able to set up my apartment exactly how I'd want it to shoot, and I'm home alone during the day because my roommate has a 9 to 5 and she goes into the office. So it's easier, and I feel more confident when I'm alone taking these pictures because I can adjust it as much as I want without worrying about sunlight changing or people staring at me and stuff like that. So I would say I love the pictures that I take at home, and honestly those are the ones that I kind of promote the most, to take your own pictures, because you can do it in the comfort of your own home. So when you're not feeling the pressure of other people, and like that's kind of where I feel like people are like, I could never take my own pictures because they're out in public doing it. But when you're at home doing it, it's a whole different experience, and that's kind of where I like shooting the most. So that's what I would say about that. So I have 2 more questions. Someone asked me like how I got into content creation. So basically, after college, I kind of spoke on this. I worked in digital marketing, so social media marketing. I worked for the same company for about 3 years. And then on the side, I bought a camera because I wanted something like a creative outlet or something to do, a hobby to maintain or whatever while I was working. And I just fell in love with photography, and I fell in love with creative photo shoots and getting really it did allow me to get creative, and I love doing that. So all of a sudden being able to make that into a career, something that I get to do every single day that I absolutely love, it doesn't feel like work. When my friends are like, oh my gosh, it's almost Friday, like I've never, since I started working for myself, I've never thought about that. I've never been like, oh my gosh, it's Friday. It's almost like, oh my gosh, it's already Friday. Like I don't work all weekend. There's stuff I still want to get done. So it's kind of just a whole mindset change. It's like, I love what I do every single day, and I'm so blessed that I've been able to grow on like my platforms and being able to make this a career. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into it, and I absolutely adore it and love it, and I cannot wait to keep growing my company and doing new things within the field. Okay, and so I'm gonna close on a question that I got a bunch, and that is, how do you learn how to be confident when taking pictures? How do you learn how to pose with body confidence? How do you know how to be confident? All of those sort of things. And kind of like I was just speaking on about taking pictures in public, I will say this, like I can come off as very confident in photos, and that's completely just how you pose yourself. When I'm out in public shooting pictures, I still get awkward. If there's people walking by, I will feel awkward, but the more you do it, the less awkward it is. I also think that just you can learn how to pose yourself and look very confident, but having someone there with you, normally my best friend comes with me to take pictures, and it's a lot less awkward for me when someone's with me. When I'm shooting on my tripod, it's a little bit awkward for me, which is why I was just talking about I love shooting at home because there's nobody here. Also, wearing clothes you feel confident in. If I put something on and I'm like, I already feel self-conscious in this just walking around, it is not gonna come across as confident in your pictures. So you gotta make sure you're wearing clothes that you feel good in. It doesn't matter what it is, what it looks like, as long as you feel confident in your outfit choice, you're gonna become more confident and come off as more confident. And just practicing it makes perfect. As cheesy as that sounds, when I first started doing this, I would get so embarrassed about taking pictures in public, and I would want to be behind the camera all the time because I felt less awkward if I was taking the pictures and not being in the pictures. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I will say it also kind of just depends on like where you live. I was talking to this other content creator, and she just moved to Denver, and in Denver it's not a big thing to be a content creator influencer, like going out and taking pictures like that. But where she's originally from, she lived downtown Chicago, it's super common. So when you would walk outside and you saw people doing that, you kind of knew what they were doing. And she said there was kind of like people would like kind of tease you about it, where here it's like not a big thing. So a lot of the times when I go out to shoot, people are like, hey, what are you doing? Or like they'll ask me what I'm doing. I've had people come up to me and like give me things while I was taking pictures, or just like wondering what I'm doing. So I would have to say, like, you have to realize people are often not judging you. They're just kind of curious about what you're doing. And once you realize that too, it's kind of a bit of a confident boost. You're like, okay, they're not judging me. They just am curious what I'm doing. I would be curious what the person's doing too if I saw them out. Every time I see a photographer out in public, I'm like, I wonder what they're shooting for. So you just kind of have to remember, people are not always judging you. And even if they do, who cares? You are literally never gonna see them again. But if you are struggling with body confidence, throwing something on that you just feel so good in, and start practicing taking pictures just in your own house, because that's where I feel most confident taking pictures, and that's why I love taking pictures at home. But eventually when you go out in public, if you're with a friend, your friend's there to hype you up, and you're just gonna have to do it. People are going to stare. You're gonna have to realize they're not judging you, or maybe they are, but it doesn't matter because you feel confident, and you're gonna have these pictures. I keep thinking about this. I'm like, I'm gonna have so many pictures from my 20s and from being young. When I'm old, I'm so excited to look back at those and just be like, wow, those times will never come back. I looked so good. I felt so confident in myself. And like now, you age, but you're gonna look back at those pictures when you're in your 20s or whatever, 30s, your 40s. Every time you take pictures, you're gonna get older and you're gonna look back at those and be like, damn, I looked good. So you're gonna always be wishing for that time back. And this is a huge long rant of just saying, like, it's practice. You just have to make time to feel good in the clothes that you are wearing, the pictures that you are taking. Focus on your self-confidence. Start by taking pictures in your home. It's not gonna come natural to everybody, and it's not gonna come natural right away, but the more you do it, the easier it's gonna get. Okay, so that was all the questions that I have for this Q&A. I'm going to start making weekly videos. I'm going to try. But yeah, I appreciate you guys and everyone who asked questions. Hopefully you found this interesting. If you do have a video suggestion, I know people are asking for longer editing videos, behind the scenes of content days, weekly vlogs, things like that. So if you have any video requests, drop them in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe.